Hey guys, we are here today with a twin flame reading, and this morning the intense longing has been really strong coming from the DM. A lot of the collective has felt very distant towards the masculine, or very kind of doing their own thing. And then this morning I got a divine masculine channeling that came very, very strong. And it was this almost overwhelming longing going back to almost the days when this connection kind of first happened and when we first met. And the divine masculine is really going through it. So my readings are transmutative as well as insightful. That's the intention I set forth when I do a twin flame reading or any kind of reading, to really understand the energies, but also heal and transmute in the process of it. And today I feel like there's just a lot of messages that want to come through, messages from the divine masculine to the divine feminine is specifically what I'm getting. So with that being said, I'm gonna call in our ascended masters, source, divine beings, angels that want to come through and communicate so much of what the divine masculine is currently feeling. And with that being said, I call in our Center Masters 5D and above to come forth and come through to what the divine masculine currently wants to tell us. From source through me, messages directly channeled from the divine masculine. This reading asks the intentions and feelings of the divine masculine and how they see things at the moment. And the card that came out is Time to Breathe Out here. And what I'm getting is that they are so overwhelmed with the emotions and the feelings towards the divine feminine at this time. And it's almost like this intense longing and anxiety that makes it hard to excel. It's almost like you're so consumed with emotions that taking a deep breath is difficult. So I'm getting that they want to breathe out, like they want to almost shake this longing that they're feeling at the moment, but they can't. And we're feeling it very strongly. I'm feeling it very strongly. I feel like I was very guided to just do a reading because what I really wanted to do is just take it in from the perspective of my twin, and I was guided to just jump on the camera and just start pulling cards because I was my spirit was telling me that this is something that the collective really needs to hear. It's something that almost seems in a lot of ways like it came out of nowhere. And here the light beings card came out. So what I'm getting is that it's really the higher selves now coming through and telling us what their shadow self, or what their ego doesn't want to say or can't say in their 3D paradigm. And right now we are feeling and seeing the lightest, like divine light form of themselves. It's like their higher being from like their light form is what I'm getting, like very much like if their spirit took a light form. And what you can see here in the card is this masculine figure really, and I noticed this as I was saying that, because this is in your deck, that there's a universe almost in his like third eye crown chakra, like his head is open, and there's like a universe. And so I'm getting that their highest form of light self is coming through at the moment. And there is so much that they want to communicate to the divine feminine at this time, as a collective. I'm getting that a lot of them are starting to question, they're starting to see not just their own life falling apart, but just societal constructs falling apart. And they're really it's starting to strike a chord with them from the form of understanding that what they've been holding on to is no longer working anywhere. And they're realizing that this is almost like they are the first movers in this, and that what they're feeling is real. I'm also getting that a lot of the masculines are understanding that this thing that they've almost been suppressing or ignoring so deep within exists, and it's coming to the forefront of their consciousness. It's not just a 5D connection that they're dozing off and we're feeling them, or that is coming through, you know, when they're almost in like lucid dreaming or just waking up. It's something that is coming now to the forefront. It's kind of coming to the forefront of their mind, and their waking life and everything they're doing is coming into the reality of it is really coming into a 3D paradigm as you're seeing a lot of things change and shift. So what is the message that Divine Masculine wants to communicate to Divine Feminine at the moment? And okay, so this is beautiful. So what came out here is soulmates and Cupid's arrow. So soul connection, partnership, agreement, soul contract, have faith, love is coming, surprise, intuition, or meeting, hesitation. So I'm very much getting that, exactly what I had just said, or what I was saying, that, and it's confirming that they're realizing that this love is manifesting itself in a 3D paradigm. And it is a surprise intuition, which I think is very interesting that this is exactly what the card says. Is this something happened overnight where it's almost like they got a lot of light code downloads, or their higher self came through and really gave them an intuitive awakening to understand this love or to take it seriously. They've been hesitating to do so, is what I'm getting, and that the higher self and the divine and the light is coming and saying, really coming to the forefront of their intuition. And what I'm getting here with the word meeting is that they're understanding that manifesting this below is something that they can no longer try to suppress or ignore, and that longing isn't something that they can hold on to much longer. And so now they're the ones that are wanting to meet. And I'm getting here that this hesitation is being overcome by the longing and by the faith and by the higher self and by this present intuition that came through. So what is the role of the Divine Feminine at the moment during this time? What needs to be communicated to us? What needs to come through, Spirit? And so the mirroring card came out. So what I'm getting very clearly is that so much of what has been the quote-unquote runner-chaser dichotomy was a mirroring, as they, what I'm getting here is, as they were running away from us in the connection, not only were we running away from the connection to ourselves and running from ourselves, but I'm also getting that their running is in direct correlation and propensity to our predisposition to being upset, sad, or angry at them, and all those energies that are not of unconditional love, because it's easier for us to stay in that state than it is to face the idea that this love is worthy and good enough for the both of us. And I'm getting that for a lot of twins, it's almost like we both felt that it was in a way too good to be true, or this love wasn't, not that it wasn't real, but we've never experienced it before. And although that's obvious with a twin flame love, what I'm getting is that for a lot of the twins, the people that were supposed to love us unconditionally, for a lot of the twins, they've, you know, those people didn't love us or ran away or weren't there. So I'm getting that what we're mirroring to each other is this fear that we are too good, that we are not good enough to be in an unconditional state of love. And so for them it equates running, for us it equates longing. Because to swim in that longingness, or to stay in that state, and I'm threading lightly because I know this can be triggering, but what I'm getting is that longing is more familiar than seeing love and unconditional love for what it is, and for its role in our lives, and for what it means to us from within us. Because that is something that we've never had to face or come face to face with in a lot of ways. Like we haven't experienced unconditional love from those that were supposed to love us most. And I think for a lot of that, what I'm getting is that it's coming from childhood wounds and abuse and neglect. And so it's almost like this fear that the twin will be the heartbreaker of all heartbreakers if we let them in. And for what it means to the masculine to let them in, it means to the feminine to not be upset or angry or longing. Because at least we know, this is what Spirit is saying, at least we know what that feels like and what that is, and we can experience it in that moment rather than the anticipation of what it could mean if we let ourselves love and be loved and be in our power, and what fears that brings. I'm getting for some even in karmic retribution, because we feel like a lot of the collective feels like they're almost not good enough, or they have karmic debt. I'm getting that a lot of them almost feel like they have karmic debt that we have to pay, and this love will be taken away in a lot of ways if it's not paid. And that's a fear that is triggering to a lot of the collective, that is keeping us in this separation and running state from self or from the other. And what the twins are starting to realize is to what degree the masculine and the feminine introspective healing starts to take paths that are two sides of the same coin but different. And it's the hidden aspects in a lot of ways that maybe were hidden from our consciousness in the process of self-union that our twins are triggering in this runner separation. I feel like in a lot of ways it seemed that the runner chaser seemed very like healing our wounds and coming to self-union. I don't want to say from like a 3D perspective, but also not from a multi-dimensional 5D perspective either. Like, it seemed as though in our psyche we could cipher a lot of what those wounds are, and although we can from in some way superficial perspective, and even feeling the wounds, like feeling to heal them, what I'm starting to get is like all of the spiritual aspects of those wounds are now coming to surface for the divine feminine, and the even the metaphorical aspects of what it means to be in union, or what it means to have like a tantric connection, and the cardinal metaphorical meaning of the very essence of that, what it means to allow ourselves to receive from a, I guess, root chakra standpoint, and what it means for the masculine to be a channel from also a root chakra standpoint, but also from the connection to the higher selves. Because what I'm getting is that that's what so many have been ignoring, is that the channeling in like, let's say, a sexual act is, it's coming through a higher self, right? So it's like channeling, and if you think about the human body, it's like the head, and then it's like the body that leads down to, their nether regions per se, and the channeling that comes through and forth. But it's almost like a head, which is smaller than the body, that is like channeling from above per se, almost like an antenna, like the third eye, like the crown chakra. And maybe we knew this from a crown chakra understanding standpoint, but like we're starting to really understand that deeper metaphorical, metaphysical dynamics of our cardinal bodies, and so how that comes in and then channels through. But because of the ego and the veil of forgetfulness, we've used almost like the skeletal, like puffing of the chest, like egotistical body as more like shielding and protecting, and like ego manifestation around like free will versus divine will, and operating from that shell space, from like that layer space, like being the onion, versus from a pure channeling place, which is an entirely different way of looking at the world, at ourselves as a vessel, and as us in the world here. And what is happening now is that we're understanding the spiritual, like the why behind the what of even our cardinal existence and our cardinal bodies and our 3D dynamics and our 3D paradigm dynamics, and how the white picket fence even is a depiction of a dynamic that is coming from a shadow ego self, that is coming from the world around us, from validation outside of us, almost from this protective perspective, rather than this channeling like from the head to the body, rather from above, so below it's becoming more from outward protecting inwards, if that makes sense. And so now that awakening is happening, where we're starting to almost see everything like light code, and I feel like it's happening for the divine masculine and the divine feminine, and we're starting to see beyond just our meat sack per se bodies, for lack of a better term, which is our vessel, and we're supposed to protect it like a temple and what have you. I'm not trying to discredit the body, but we're starting to understand that layers of being human beings having spiritual experience, which is deeper than psychological or emotional or physical. It's spiritual in ways that we have maybe not been able to comprehend up until this moment, especially for those of you guys watching this right now. And we're starting to comprehend the layers and the meaning of that from a much more rudimentary and metaphysical space. And we're starting to even see gender as a 3D construct, not in the way that society would have us believe is like male and female, like it doesn't matter, like, oh, all the labels. I mean, even deeper than that, we're starting to really understand that we are just like beings of, for lack of a better term, masculine negative polarity, rather than male and female and gender and all of that. And it's almost like even those things are becoming dense. And so what is the clarity that the divine feminine wants to receive, or the divine masculine wants to communicate to the divine feminine? What is the message that wants to be communicated at this moment from this 3D paradigm perspective? From, is that too many cards? So we got the Divine Masculine card, which I figured would come out. Nothing has gone wrong, joy, and sultry. So what I'm getting is, so nothing has gone wrong has kind of landed above soulmates. And so what I'm getting here is with the Divine Masculine soulmates is that, which is pretty much very on point to what we have just been saying, is that understanding that so much of this pain has been for the purpose of these kinds of revelations and understandings and transmutative epiphanies, and that we needed to go through this to experience all the layers of pain in the 3D paradigm and shadow selves of this world in the 3D paradigm, so that we can experience true unconditional bliss, joy, and fulfillment. And without all the aspects of this longing and feeling, we wouldn't appreciate the light if we don't see the darkness. But also we wouldn't really begin to truly and wholeheartedly understand the layers of love and the infinite potential of love, and the embodiment. And as I'm saying this, I'm feeling the transmutation of a lot of energy taking place. The joy. And another thing that I'm getting right now is being the cause of revolt and fulfillment is the ultimate joy. And that is so much of this transmutation process, is being the cause of our own fulfillment by transmutating the negativity and the things we've been through, and also the things around us. We're transmutating that energy and we're getting joy and bliss. And without the understanding and without that longing, we would not arrive to appreciating all the different dimensions of healing such negative emotions and situations that have happened to us and the world around us. And what I'm getting here with the soul tree, I feel like is very much referring to the divine collective, is that this is all divinely guided. And this is, I'm also getting, this is from the light work, mastery, ascension, what, you know, us divine beings having a spiritual experience and light workers and higher vibrational beings, we are cut from the same cloth, and we're coming from the soul tree to transmute all of this in the triggering pursuit of unconditional love. Because, you know, unconditional love is truly what wakes us and what keeps us going in such a tumultuous journey. It's literally and figuratively, it is love that is awakening. The Kundalini awakening, the, you know, spiritual awakening, the metaphorical awakening that we see love awaken in so many films and movies and pop culture, is it's been the 3D paradigm's way of depicting such a connection the best way it's known how, which is through metaphorical figures and shows, movies, books, which is now becoming a reality. So part of the Ascension of the 5 days, what I'm getting is that all of that creative endeavors and metaphorical and metaphysical things that have come before us has been to get us to bridge up into this point of understanding these messages in the ascension process. It's almost been like, in a lot of ways, a gateway, and it's been a gateway to a lot of things, positive and negative. But that aspect of conveying unconditional love that the 3D paradigm in a lot of ways saw very cheesy, or, you know, kind of like a joke, or too good to be true, we are here to embody the things that the world has perceived too good to be true, and they're seeing that these things can be true through the divine connection, the divine feminine being the awakening aspect of such, and then the divine masculine being the translator, in a way, the bridge to the 3D paradigm, and the masculine figures that are up until now have been so lost, and why so many of our ascended masters have been male, because of that transmutative process that the masculine polarity, the negative polarity, has to go through. So here at the bottom of the deck we got enlightenment, and what came out here was remembrance. So I'm also getting that a lot of us our role is to lift the veil of forgetfulness that has been casted over us, and it's happening very, very quickly. And we're starting to remember, right, all the things that we forgot before we came into this paradigm, and we're awakening and triggering that remembrance in our twins and our twins onto us. At this point now, it's becoming very merged. But as that awakening and the remembrance gets triggered, the 3D paradigm will shed so much more of the way it operates, because education has been a big, I don't want to say exploitative thing, but it's something that is burdening society right now. It's like they're so burdened by the debts of the education depicted by the 3D paradigm. And so as the veil of forgetfulness gets lifted, so will knowledge and the barrier to entry of knowledge, even esoteric knowledge or occult knowledge, even the things that have brought us to this point where we're using divination tools again. And I am a no tools reader, but so much of this is to almost avenge the higher vibrations that have been come before us, that have been sacrificed to get us to this point, whether that is the Salem witch trials or the crucifixion of Jesus. I didn't mean to say crucifix, but as it came out, I realized I was meant to say that. Or, you know, the persecution of the Freemasons and all these higher vibrational beings was to suppress and oppress information and then sell the veil of forgetfulness in this 3D paradigm. And something that just came to me right now from our angels is that part of the veil of forgetfulness and perpetuating it is selling, and is this distorted capitalism that has benefited from the forgetfulness of people and keeping them there, from education to technological, all kinds of, well, everything about how the way world works today is operated so long as the veil of forgetfulness is in play. And that's why so much of this information has been so occult for so long. I think that's too many cards. And here came the Prince of Cups in reverse and the Five of Cups upright. So what I'm getting here is that the light codes and emotion that has been embedded in the feminine polarity has been suppressed and antagonized, and it's been crucified in a lot of ways, and it's and it's been objectified by the distorted masculine polarity, and has been made to feel shame and all of these things so that they can keep controlling the narrative, because the lower vibrational distorted masculine energies were so weak and so predicated on illusions and so pegged to false illusions of power, and they needed to keep the power of the divine feminine, of Mother Nature, of the true feminine power that lives within all of us. They needed to keep that suppressed in order to keep that assertive masculine alive. And so a lot of this has been predicated on the survivalship and the appeasement and the comfort of the distorted masculine, and placated to the values of the distorted masculine to keep them comfortable, because that's the only way these lower vibrational energies would be able to survive. And now that is being ripped off and away from them. And so what energies, messages from the divine do we need to focus on to keep this light code activation going and awakening, and to keep the veil of forgetfulness to be lifted, and to assist the divine and our divine masculine and ourselves to ascend into the higher paradigm, and to do so as mercifully and as seamless as possible. So listen to your intuitive feelings came out. So what I'm getting from this is like different divine feminine collective will have a different calling and a different intuitive way of light code activation, is what my angels are saying, for the worlds around us. So the way you're meant to activate the worlds around you will be different than the way maybe I'm meant to, or someone else. So it's but the answers are within us. And I think it goes back to the remembrance card, and which I just realized it's kind of where it fell over, is that it's going back to lifting the wheel of forgetfulness and remembering our divine abilities and our role and what we need to overcome in our soul contracts and what we're here to help with. The bottom of the deck here is Goddess. So express your divine feminine energy, embrace its magical intuition and nurturing qualities. So it's really about listening to our intuitive feelings and expressing them and acting on them and embracing its magical intuition. And in doing so, the divine masculine will realize how a true divine being, superpower, masculine, feminine, embraces and expresses the divine feminine energy, and in us doing so, they will see how powerful that is by seeing it, how powerful it is within us and for us, and then beginning to trust and embracing that within themselves, because the light code and their higher selves and the divine is already assisting them in that as of now, or you know. So Archangel Michael is also here with be willing to forgive in the base chakra, God box, crown chakra. So be willing to, so Archangel Michael and be willing to forgive, I feel like came out together for a reason. And so Archangel Michael says you're working very closely with this powerful archangel who's protecting you and guiding you through your situation, which is very much the vibes that I was feeling and channeling a little bit ago. And it's to really, whenever these intense feelings come on, is to really work with Archangel Michael and his vibrational resonance that these angels provides. Because when we think about like different angels and even tarot cards and any kind of art, it's like everything has light code form, everything is vibrating at its own level, different colors vibrate at different colors. Angels and archangels have their own vibrational resonance that we can call forth very quickly, especially as we ascend from this 3D paradigm. And when we have these intense feelings of longing, we can call forth Archangel Michael to assist us in lifting the feelings of longing and simultaneously helping the divine. So long as we're doing our work, obviously that is implied with anybody watching my readings. It's very, very implied in everything I do and say. But in that, being our power and staying in such is also, Archangel Michael can also assist us in conveying that and sharing that with our divine counterpart in a very seamless way, so that it's even at a higher light code of the same vibrational resonance. A lot of times whenever we're in conflict is because our higher selves and source and our emotional selves and our 3D paradigm body are at conflict, and so we're understanding the 3D emotions and the higher self emotions, and when they're not aligned, it causes internal struggle and chaos. And that's where we can call in our Archangel Michael to come in and break a lot of those negative resonance vibrational cords, or at least help us understand and see them. And be willing to forgive came out with letting go of the past pains that the divine masculine has triggered and caused within us as well as the worlds around us. And ask the angels to clear your mind, exactly what I just said, ask your angels to clear your mind and body of past pain in exchange for peacefulness, which is exactly what even my reading yesterday said, and what we said last night with Enchanted World of Twin Flames, is that clearing, what's been happening a lot of this time is that the ego and the lower vibrational paradigm has been feeding the divine masculine instant gratification and instant pleasure in exchange for their peacefulness and unconditional love, because that's the only way it can keep them lingering in those lower vibrations, is by that hit of like ecstasy of instant gratification. But something I think I said yesterday as well in the reading is that, you know, whenever we try to see the best in people, they naturally show us the best sides of them. When we put on and project the worst in people, that's what we bring out. So I think now we're being called to, when we're angry, to really ask the divine and Archangel Michael to lift that, so that we can operate from a place of unconditional love towards our divine masculine and really towards everyone around us, to stay in that peaceful state. And to not subdue to the comfort of lower energetic resonance and vibrations that can come through, and the inability to forget. What I'm getting here with the base chakra card is, and this is what it says, choose only positive thoughts to describe your home, career, and finances as your words determine your outcome. I think this is really going back to what I said earlier in this reading about we're understanding the metaphysical understanding and the metaphorical role of our cardinal bodies and the roles that they play and project as we're ascending to this. And I think part of it is confirmation of that. Part of it is also the Kundalini awakening that takes us from that vibratory resonance up to the higher resonance, and kind of merging it all together, as above, so below, as within, so without, and transmuting that up above into only positive thoughts to describe your home, career, and finances, going back to our divine power, our light worker ability, and the God is within us. And this is going back to the God box that kind of circles back to surrendering to the divine. And there's a video that I made about the original pain of the divine masculine, and if you haven't seen that video, I go over how to use the God box, and I put it back in the deck because it was called to do so, and I guess because it would come out now, and how to make that God box. But write down any worries or desires on a piece of paper and put it into your special container called the God box as a way of letting go and allowing the divine to help you. And I think this goes back to remembering that we are one with source, and that we are of a goddess power, and that our higher selves are not working with us and now with the divine. So that cannot be transmuted in a 3D paradigm, which is separation in a lot of ways for us as we continue to be in our ascension process, because that is what this is about, to hand over to the divine any thoughts, fears, or concerns, and it can assist us as we are in our mission and we are devoted to ourselves and our higher calling and our higher power. That which is outside of us, which is, for lack of a better term, separation, because it doesn't exist. We're already one and we're twin. But in the cardinal state, the God box can help us, assist us with that, and to bring in clarity. Going back to the crown chakra and what we said about the divine masculine and our soul bodies and our cardinal bodies having a head, which is like an antenna to channel. I think it's going back to that state of remembrance, and that's what I'm getting here with the crown chakra and remembrance being the theme of this. Going back to we are light beings, is a lot of that understanding and connection exists in the crown chakra space, and it's the downloads and soulmate epiphanies here that our twins are having or have had that brought us to this intense longing to do this video and the calling of this awakening for this transmutative purpose. And so it's really bringing that full circle is what I'm getting here with the root and with the crown chakra, or the base chakra, and the crown chakra is what I'm getting as above, so below, as within, so without, in the 3D as well as in the 5D, in the light being as well as in the cardinal being, in the soul tree as well as in this paradigm, the divine masculine. And nothing has gone wrong on this journey, and the remembrance that we are source, and this was all so that we can experience all shades and levels of joy and fulfillment and unconditional love, and all variants of the pains that we have endured during this time in direct and opposite proportion, from the darkness to the light, from the pain and the longing to the fulfillment and the love within us as we come into self-union. And so long as we focus on that, and that's probably what I should just keep saying, because the more I make it about the twin, it seems like that's something outside of them. As we focus in that soul mission and propensity, they are being activated. And I think this is great proof that it's happening for those that are actually in their path and in their mission. And it's also, I feel like, for a lot of us, remembrance that this twin flame union is divine and it's higher than any kind of connection, because a lot of us were beginning to forget that. And I feel like that's what a lot of this energy coming over us is for. I'm being guided to draw from the light code of the Hebrew letters and Aramaic vibrational resonance, here with the 72 names of God, in the Hebrew light code language for meditations and prayers. So letting go, the great escape is happiness. So you limit, I am no longer a prisoner of my past regrets, earlier traumas, pain and suffering. I believe in miracles and joy and a joy-filled future, which goes back to this card. I gain the courage to let go. I let go of everything, period. Which is really speaking to letting go of a lot of the 3D paradigms, and that which is out of unconditional vibrational love resonance, and that is you Lamed, and that is the activation liquid for that. The second card that came out is a great escape, and Lamed Aleva. The name brings the greatest of all freedoms, the escape from my own ego-based desires, selfish inclinations, and the me-first mentality that ultimately caused the pain in my life. In their place, I gain life's true and lasting gifts, family, friendship, and fulfillment. Again, joy and fulfillment. And it came over these cards as well, and that's the code, light code for that. And then Vev, hey Vev, I think this has come out before. And it says happiness. I find the strength to restrain selfish longings. Through this name, I ask for what my soul needs, not what my ego wants. I find deep appreciation for whatever life brings me. This brings me happiness in the deepest sense. And that is Vav Hey Vav. I feel like there's one more card that wants to come out of here. And for those of you guys that are not familiar with these meditations or these names or can't pronounce them, I will be focusing and praying on them as the day goes by. And I just feel like the collective needed to just be aware of that message, and I will focus my transmutative powers and energies, as well as anybody who is watching this that has the ability to do so. They are being called, so if they're being called to do so, to assist in that. And with that came out the card diffuse negative energy and distress, literally. So Kav Hey Kav, purifying light banishes the unseen omnious forces and deactivates harmful influences that may be lurking nearby, especially those that dwell inside me. Stress dissolves, pressure is released, balancing positive energy permeate my being and my world. Kav Hey Kav. And then Ayin Rashid, by using this name, I fill my heart with certainty, certitude and conviction, sureness and trust. Ayin Rashid, which conviction and certainty is the ultimate masculine characteristic in a lot of ways, because it shows knowing thyself, and knowing thyself means knowing source and your higher self and your inner child. So if we can focus on our divine masculine and their heart chakra as well as their crown chakra, and iridescent purple blue light coming in from above, from their mental space into their heart space, as we once again say the name Ayin Rashid. By using this name, I fill my heart with certainty, certitude and conviction, sureness and trust. And we inhale, and we take it in for ourselves. And we inhale and envision the light of Ayin Rashid coming in through the divine masculine and light code from above their crown chakra into their heart space, and filling their heart with certainty, certitude, conviction, sureness, and trust, understanding source, knowing themselves, as above, so below, as within, so without, and their connection to unconditional love as a universal form of the highest vibrational resonance and power. And we inhale and we exhale, and we let the divine hold that space and energy around us and around them. And then the final card is Lamed Lamed Hey. With this name, I will dream truthfully. My soul will ascend to safe and loving places during the night. I will awake each morning recharged, reinvigorating, renewed in body and spirit, and wiser. And I feel like this ties this reading all together, and that is Lamed Lamed Hey. So, okay guys, I feel like that is almost everything. There's one more message in here for the Divine Feminine. That's what I'm getting specifically. And what is you're already doing it. So that gave me a deep breath. So I guess we should take a deep breath and acknowledge that we're already in this mission in your path, and to keep facing your north is what this says. Stop overthinking, keep facing your true north. And what I'm getting from that is our North Star, the divine unconditional love, the light, our soul mission. And the divine here between the God box and everything else that we've talked about in Transmuted is taking care of everything else as they always have. And it is up to divine timing, and divine everything is not up to our timing, illusions, or attachments. And so long as we keep facing our true north, but I think it's confirmation of just being in our power, and that is an ultimate transmutation that can happen to our twins, and pushing through that. This card came out yesterday, which I think is a closing and circling back of yesterday's energies and how quickly they change, which is the bottom of the deck, and it says just align your life. And it was talking about, we watched the reading yesterday, which honestly I was guided to do it, but it was a weird energy yesterday. But it really talked about finding our alignment, and to keep doing that and stop overthinking. That is what I'm getting here, because it did come out yesterday. And just keep facing your north whenever these uncertainties come up, which is another theme that came out here is the power of certainty with Ayin Resh Yud, and you can look at it one more time. So with that being said, guys, like, comment, subscribe if this resonated with you. Let me know in the comments below. Our full website is New Age Ascension that I started with the Enchanted World of Twin Flames, and we'll be doing a lot of more of these extendeds and meditations and what have you on that portal, and helping the collective really dig deeper into a lot of these concepts, and it's really our soul calling, and and we love to share this journey with you and help you transmute a lot of this weight, and so so you can also donate if this was helpful to the Patreon or anything like that, if you're being called to use so for the energy exchange. If not, we're here for you guys, and this is about the overall ascension, so we are all one. And so we're not going to stop, and that's not going to change anything. We're here for the collective. DNA of the soul is something that just kind of stuck out to me when I saw and that's Aleph Kav Aleph. With this name, I will receive nothing less than full impact of the forces of creation. I restore the meaning to my life that often feels meaningless, and purpose to a world that often appears aimless. Order returns, structure emerges, everything is tidied up. And that is Aleph Kav Aleph, DNA of the soul. So anyway, guys, I hope this was helpful. Sending you guys so much love and light. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you guys next time.